The transfer portal is open, which is usually a hot, fun topic, unless it's a disaster for your conference, which seems to be the case right now. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thanks for making this show your first listen every single day. Let's welcome in Locked On recruiting expert Brian Smith, who's here thanks to our good buddies at LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Brian, let's go through the Big 12 as a transfer portal disaster so far. Also, the Big 12's possibility of being almost a minor league for the SEC and Big 10. Is that why some of these guys are jumping ship? And we'll also cover how Colorado is a dumpster fire as it sits. First, with the Big 12 transfer portal situation right now, TCU just lost maybe its best defensive player, its best defensive tackle, and Dominic Williams. 11 players gone from Utah, including Cormani McClain. 5 guys out of Cincinnati. Utah loses its starting center. It seems like one team after the next is losing key guys from the Big 12 conference. Is this the same thing that's happening everywhere else, or is the Big 12 in a unique situation?
Both.
Good luck.
I mean, even like schools like Miami has all but unlimited pockets. Their major booster is the guy that runs the Major League Soccer team in South Florida. Can you imagine how much that guy's worth? But they still lost some players. Colby Young was a starting receiver. He's a Georgia now.
Yeah.
So it does happen to everybody. But when you don't have a chance, in a lot of these kids' opinions, to make a real run to the playoff, why am I here? Saban was right. Once we went to the playoff, the bowl games and stuff don't matter as much. There's not as much team pride. It's like he hates the portal and NIL and all that stuff. He hates it. It's why he left. It's why he's done. He's still in good health. He could coach. He hates this stuff. And it's why a lot of guys are trying anything they can to go to the NFL. I know a few guys that went to high school jobs, so like in Georgia and Alabama, make 100 and 150 grand a year, and they're good with it. They're not dealing with the portal and stuff. That's how much these guys hate it. So I think kids just look at it like, I'm just trying to get paid as much as I can in case I don't go to the NFL. I want to make as much as I can, which I get to. And some of these schools, man, they'll pay. To give you an example, there's a kid in the SEC right now. It's not even a dude, but he's a D tackle, rotational player. He got offered $500K to go to a team that's elite. He's not a starter. What would you do?
It gets, yeah. If I'm sitting at Baylor to pick on my alma mater, right, and I'm making $45,000, even $80,000, and $500,000 is waved in front of your face. There's the decision is pretty easy there. And I think, not to say that some of these Big 12 schools, we'll get into it, don't have major donors. There is money that runs to this conference. Drayton McClain, who's the primary donator to Baylor, he owned the Houston Astros. You got to have some deep pockets to do that. You go up to Stillwater and T. Boone Pickens' legacy and the money that's left there. You could name somebody like that for pretty much every school. BYU is flexing that in basketball right now. But Brian, wins and losses. Do I go to an on-3, a 24/7? How do I quantify if the Big 12 is winning or losing in the transfer portal? It seems like there's really no good way to tell if we're in an okay spot.
Ask me in 48 hours. There are two things here. Some of the kids, and this is typical of the NCAA or any bureaucracy, the paperwork is not friendly. To get in. These kids, a lot of them think, I'm just going to get in the portal. I hit a button. No. It goes both directions. They're going to pick up some players. I bet you the Oklahoma State Cowboys pick up 1 or 2 because they got a loaded team this year. They're going to make the playoffs. I'll be surprised. I think you agree. They'll pick up a couple, but it's almost like MLB. I don't know how much you follow baseball. You get towards the trade deadline, even if you're the Astros, if things have went south, you get rid of your pitcher. You take the shortstop and the relief pitcher that was 3rd pick in the draft. That's what they're doing. Like they're not going to match in years they're not good. Yeah. So it is what it is, and I know fans don't want to hear that. They want consistency, etc. NIL is good for the player. It's terrible for fans and the organizations. Just is.
For an Oklahoma State, I'm glad you mentioned them too. They were not bottom of the barrel in NIL last year, but they were toward the back end of the Big 12. And Mike Gundy promised in the offseason that would be fixed. They made a huge effort to keep a lot of the players they had with investments into NIL. And for them, or Kansas State, or even a West Virginia that have enough guys back, I'm seeing positive attrition. Is there a such thing? Is that term a real thing where you see, hey, these 4 or 5 guys transferred out, but they weren't going to do anything anyway. They were wasting a spot, wasting NIL money, and having them gone is not bad.
100%. I won't go into specifics, but there were a few schools that were happy to see some guys leave over the last couple of years where I have contacts. And it wasn't because they didn't have talent. It's just like, this guy is a pain in my you-know-what.
Yeah.
I'd rather take a chance on somebody else, maybe not quite as talented, but he'll do his job. He'll go to class. He won't be a distraction. He won't be out at 1 a.m. on a road trip. You know, they want to have linear guys, almost like the Marines. I know it's probably an extreme comparison, but if you're going to compete for even a Big 12 title, think about the teams that Gundy's had at Oak State.
Yeah.
A lot of junior, senior, fifth-year senior teams. You know, guys that stuck around, know the system. Guy goes down, the next guy is really good. Like, nobody knew who Ollie Gordon was, but he played in the system a year, and like he figured it out. And obviously, he's really good. So it's about system at most of those schools, because Oak State's not getting the kids that Texas wants. They're not getting the kid that LSU wants. You know what I mean? So you got to have guys that are congruent on the mission and follow it to a letter of a law. You got a little more leeway at Texas, because they'll have a few idiots on the roster, but you know what I mean? If you're just ungodly talented, it works out. Like Randy Moss got 80 chances. There's one Randy Moss. It's the best high school recruit I ever saw. So you gotta look at it from different perspectives and know who you are. Oak State, TCU, Baylor, they're not getting 5-star kids. So they need everybody on the same page.
That I love that you just touched there. What that brings to my mind is it's tougher to judge an entire conference as a whole on NIL, and probably easier to go with the individuals, whether it's transfer portal or NIL. So is it impossible to say, man, it's a disaster for the Big 12 and great for the Big 10, just because you need to judge it on a team or school basis more so than conference?
Well, look at it this way. Ohio State, somebody put out a number. I don't know how true this is. They've spent like $34 million. That's
pretty good. Yeah.
So, I mean, those are NFL kind of numbers where you start talking about some of these guys. They're all in. And let me be very clear. I grew up in the Midwest. Those people in Ohio cannot even fathom Michigan winning a national title. That's what this is about. Yeah. They didn't embrace NIL until Michigan got a ring. They're pissed. Yeah. So there's some of that. If Texas wins the title this year, which they might, A&M's donors will start donating more again. You know what I mean? Like, it's about hate. It's about competition and going to the office with bragging rights or not. That fuels this. And if Oak State runs over the rest of the league this year, which I think it might, your alma mater, TCU, Texas Tech, and some of these others are like, whoa, we can't have that. You watch. This will be a pitting match between schools on who can get the NIL rolling. I'm curious what Gundy got, because he's got something to sell this year. Yep. Maybe that's Baylor the year after, because I have a bunch of seniors. It's, again, they're not getting 5 stars in that league for the most part. Utah's kind of the same way. I mean, Whittingham's a tremendous football coach, but how many 5-star kids you're going to get to go play in the state of Utah? Yeah. You know, it's just different. But again, your point is right. It's about the school. It's about the year. If you know you got a chance to make a run, you got to tell them, look, we're losing 15 starters after this year. You need to make it this year. We get a kid out of the portal. Yeah. Those are simple conversations, to be honest.
You heard it here. Those are listening. It's not the conference as a whole that's an issue. It's on a school-to-school basis. So maybe your school is doing really well in the transfer portal or NIL, and maybe your school is Colorado and not. Brian, save that for the end of the show today. Coming up next, has the Big 12 become, or will it become, almost a minor league for the SEC and the Big 10 to poach the best guys in the conference? We're already seeing a bit of that in this portal round right here on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Yahoo Finance. Look, I'm 23 years old. I have money for the first time in my life. I am making the green thing, and I don't really know what to do with it. So I went and got an investment account with Schwab, a 401k, whatever that means, with Fidelity, and I've been using Yahoo Finance to consolidate them in one place. It's like I can take all the little money management things that I really don't know anything about and put them into Yahoo Finance, and it says, look, here it all is. Very nice and pretty. I got a short attention span. I'm one of the, am I a Gen Z? Is that what those are? Or I'm not, I'm one of those things. Yahoo Finance makes it so easy. For more than 25 years, longer than I've been alive, Yahoo Finance has has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether it is a seasoned investor or you're looking for extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data in one place. It is the #1 finance destination. Community over 90 million users each month. Their real strength is helping you find your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor at yahoofinance.com. #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That is Yahoo Finance, and it's yahoofinance.com. Brian, as we've talked about the super leagues and all the wild expansion theories that have been thrown around and all this jazz, that even aside, looking at this transfer portal season, are you seeing a niche where, oh, wow, this starter in the Big 12, this 2-year guy is leaving his school because he wants more money in the SEC, more money in the Big 10, or a better destination through the portal in conferences that are better, right? Is this league becoming a minor league for the Power 2?
I don't think the league as a whole is. Your problem is twofold, though. An elite player, like at receiver, the importance of it, especially if you've got a boundary guy that's 6'3", 205, there are not a lot of those. Boy, you better pay that dude. Even if he hadn't produced a ton yet, somebody's going to come and take it. Also on that, it depends again on the year. Like Ole Miss this year, ask A&M, because they bought basically their defensive tackle off their roster. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You're going to have a few of those. And a team like A&M, while they had a lot of guys, you can't lose Walter Nolan. So they were killing each other. And the SEC has even put in a rule. This is hilarious. In the spring portal, you can't have a guy from a SEC school transfer to another because they know they're killing each other.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. But because of that, that means the next conference over is the Big 12. And they all recruit in Texas anyway. So it's going to be a little bit here or there. But for the most part, on what I've learned, it's just the top dog. So this comes down to NIL, which is not good for a lot of these schools, especially if they're not a contender.
Right.
But you've got a dude, a D tackle, DN corner, or like that big play receiver. And if you're a 6-6 team, the donors don't want to spend that year. Do you really think Baylor's going to keep that kid or Texas Tech or whatever? It's going to be hard. And I mean, like I saw the same things you did. I've been hitting refresh last 2 days. I got different feeds on TweetDeck. I'm not missing much. There are some pretty darn good players that are going to be leaving the Big 12 conference. They're going to cash in the SEC or Big 10. Either you pay or you don't. I don't think it'll be tons of numbers, but I think at the top guys, that's a problem. I don't know what you do to fix it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a money thing, obviously. It's not that, oh man, what I've seen more of is money over competitive nature. We don't know that Texas A&M is going to win next year. They have not won, frankly, in a long time, but players know they can get a bag and at least have a possibility to compete. At Cincinnati, there's a pretty good idea you're not going to the college football playoff and you're not going to make as much as you would at Texas A&M. Therefore, as a recruit, which one do you do? It seems like it's a pretty solid made decision for even the 5 Cincinnati guys who are already in the portal in this round. But Brian, it brings me to an Ollie Gordon, right? To a Noah Fafita at Arizona. Some of these guys who likely did get those offers in the offseason. We've even seen, like Ollie Gordon reaffirms his commitment in a video with the school president because people were coming after him. Why are those guys staying?
They're a little different. Like Fafita in particular, he's good, man.
Yeah.
Like quarterback, I mean, they can all but write their own ticket. I guarantee you there are schools in the Big 12, SEC, et cetera, would have been like, okay, yeah, you're more than welcome. Come on down. And he didn't take it. I don't know the kid, but especially quarterback where you want to be on the big stage, I was surprised by that. And big clap for him because that's pretty cool. Gordon, I mean, the system he's in and everything fits him so well, and they got so many seniors, O-linemen and stuff. I understood that one a little more because the offense is going to roll this year. 6-year senior quarterback, bunch of guys up front that are returning. He's comfortable, and this is going to be his last year, and he's going to get paid. That's it. I'm sure they probably told him, we'll take a few carries off of you during the regular season as well. Don't burn up the tread on the tires, get to the NFL combine, et cetera. But yeah, Fafita in particular, that surprised me. Good for him, man. Because can you imagine what that kid got offered?
Oh, dude, I can't. For a quarterback of that caliber who had done that, and as young as he is, right? When you know you'll get a couple of years out of him, that's that's a payday. It's what Caleb Williams being able to weigh his options as young as he was because of what he showed. I'm sure that Fafita got similar offers, stayed put in Arizona under a new head coach as well. So he'll tear it up in the Big 12 this season. You can only assume. And I wonder on the flip side of the coin, I look at the AAC or the Sun Belt or these conferences where I think was it Dilfer who said, I want to send my guys out. I want my third year, fourth year guys to go transfer up and give them an opportunity to play in the SEC. Is the Big 12 able to go and make a minor league out of the American Conference or even take some of the, hey, let's reach up and pick this coconut off the SEC tree when so-and-so guy was a 4-star or a blue chip and didn't work out?
I think a school like Oklahoma State, again, I bet you they get one of those kids.
Yeah.
I really do. Again, they got like 20 starters back. It's not a hard sell. You can be the last piece, and I don't even know what Gundy's looking for, maybe another playmaker or receiver. You could be the number 3 at LSU, but you could be the number 2 here, and we're going to throw some balls around with Ollie Gordon back there, play action. You're going to be wide open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like somebody's going to get that each year. May not be Oak State. It could be a school in the Big Ten, like Wisconsin may have 18 starters back next year or something. You know what I mean? There's going to be a team like that that's going to hit some of those, and it's an appealing opportunity. The key, though, nobody wants to lose.
Yeah.
Like Oklahoma State's not thought of as a power, but again, they got 20 starters back this year. I will be shocked, barring them having like quarterback getting hurt or something like that, that they don't make the playoff. So that's an easy sell. It's just important that the Big 12, like Oak State, they need to win a game. You know what I mean? If they get beat, or especially if they get smacked, that's no good. They need, like the Big 12 needs some positive momentum because everybody hammers them.
Yeah.
It is very important that Oklahoma State is that team that goes 11-1, 12-0, makes the playoff and does something. Because then the following year, you got some cachet and you can have a little more success, I would think, at least theoretically.
We've talked a lot on this show about Utah and Kansas State, even Kansas, what they have coming back. I'm glad we're giving the love to Oklahoma State today because they return a head coach who's been there for 18 years and gone above 500 all 18 years, right? As well as a complete system that's still in place, and they're massive contenders in conference. And I love the idea of them being a college football playoff team in the Big 12 if they can not lose to South Alabama like they did last year.
No comment on that.
Avoid that, please. Brian, here's something I do want you to comment on, and it's the Colorado dumpster fire and Deion Sanders. I know you got a lot of thoughts coming up on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go is what I use when I'm on the go because I'm a competitive person and I do not like to lose. And frankly, I don't lose. I've never lost before in my life. What I do is I go to Monopoly Go and play against my friends on Monopoly boards in crazy locations, build up amazing cities that bring big money. But the best part is I mess with my friends. I can charge them rent. I can heist their vaults for riches for myself. And the leaderboards show me that I'm the biggest Monopoly tycoon. You can team up with friends as well if you're one of those people and win tournaments for huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends or play against your friends. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play. Download Monopoly Go for free on the App Store or Google Play. Play with your friends, play against your friends, and try to beat me. You will not. Deion Sanders, Colorado. As of recording, 11 players have transferred out. I'm sure by the time the show airs, it'll be like 15. What is happening in Boulder right now? And was this expected? Because all of a sudden, this great roster feels like it's kind of crumbling.
Look, man, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know a lot of people, he's either you like him or you don't.
Yeah.
I've been around Deion a few times. He's a fun guy to talk to, and he's really intelligent. He's got medical issues. He doesn't do, unless it's just a few special ones, he doesn't do in-home visits with the recruits, which is an absolute no-no. That does not work. It's a hard place to recruit to. They don't have recent history. They're recruiting like crap at the high school level. They get a few elite players, and that's it. If something doesn't change here very soon, he ain't going to be there long. And he may not care anyway because Shador's done after this year. And by the way, he's tremendous. But I just don't think that he's there for the long haul, and that's part of the reason he's doing this. I think this year, next year, he's gone anyway, and he's not going to put in the time recruiting. The number one trend that always predicts coaches being gone is how hard are you recruiting high school players, and he is not. So I think they're going to be a disaster this year, score a lot. Offensive line's still going to be horrendous. I think Shedeur was sacked like 50 times. Like, it was just something ridiculous.
More, yeah. Up.
Oh, wow. I mean, and it's too bad because he's a great football player.
Oh, yeah.
At least they have Travis back. I hope they don't have to play him both ways because that's not good for him. He's a phenomenal kid. He's arguably the best 7-on-7 player I ever watched. Watching him from 5 feet away was incredible. But they don't have enough bodies, and they're losing more. Like, what's going on there? Like, is this even with 2 guys who are going to go first round of the draft? Are they going to go 3-9? Like, they don't have any depth anyway, and the guys are leaving left and right. How many? What is it? Like 11 guys have left or something? Like
11 guys now, and that's climbing. So it's not good.
Look, I mean, could you imagine? Like, they're in the Big 12, which is a mediocre conference. If they were in the SEC, they might win 2 games. They just don't have any depth. Like, they don't have the linemen.
Georgia State and Mercer, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they wouldn't. Like, they might beat Vandy because, I mean, Shedeur makes some points. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Like Deion was talking last year, like, oh, we're going to make a run at the play. No, you're not. You have no shot. You can't recruit high school kids like this and then lose portal guys the other direction and just constantly have change. He's doing the opposite of like what Gundy's doing. Gundy recruits high school kids, fit his system, red shirts, brings them along by their junior year. They play some senior year. They're pretty good. 5th-year senior. He's second team all Big 12. You know what I mean? It's just a system. Iowa was kind of that way at one point when they actually had quarterback play. Like, there's some schools like that. Colorado is just the way he's doing it. It doesn't work. I think it's going to be a total train wreck.
Brian, you called the Big 12 a mediocre conference on this show. I will not comment yet, but I will say that Deion has made comments saying that if this is the best the Big 12 has to offer, we'll win the league. He doesn't seem impressed by the talent elsewhere in conference. So, I mean, which not, like Utah and Arizona just also came with him. It blows my mind. Do you think, though, that the foundation has crumbled enough that Colorado pulls the trigger first, seeing the writing on the wall, and fires him, or that he gives the admirable fall on his sword and leaves?
He'll leave on his own accord. Let's not kid ourselves, especially in an election year. This is a very political thing. You know what I mean? And it would be a disaster for that school in that state politically to do it. You can read what I'm saying here. And I don't think so. And he might, again, like his kid's going to be done after this year. Deion's got health problems. I wouldn't be surprised, like, if his doctor's like, you don't need this stress, which probably doesn't. And he does not take losing. He's about as competitive a dude as I've ever been around in my entire life. I've been around sports forever. He can't stand losing a rep. So if they suck this year, I wouldn't be surprised if he walked away. 0 chance they win the league this year. 0. No way in hell. They don't have an offensive line. Quarterback's semi-mobile. They don't have a consistent running game, and the defense stinks. Besides that, they've got it locked up. What is he talking? There's no way in hell they're competing for the Big 12 title. 0.
They do, on paper, have the best roster in the Big 12. It is a misfit roster for sure, but they've got, it's so interesting how many 4- and 5-star guys they have, according to 24/7 and On3, mixed with the coach's son posting on his Instagram. Please come play with it. Hit me up if you want to come play ball over in Boulder. I think it's unprecedented, truly, in college athletics to have the coach's kid doing that at Colorado. But Brian, man, opposite of dumpster fire, your analysis in all things recruiting. Where can folks find you if they want more?
At FB Scout _Florida. Right now, it's a lot of Twitter stuff that's just, Louisville will have a kid. Texas Tech will have a kid. You get guys like the Damian Martinez guy who's from Texas.
Yep.
He's from the Metroplex. I heard he's going to Miami for a visit. You know, I mean, I can imagine what they're going to dump on him. They need a running back. Their guy's hurt. So like these stories are just constant. There's something to follow, and my timeline has a lot of it.
Love it. That's Brian Smith, the Locked On recruiting coordinator, joining us thanks to LinkedIn Talent Solutions. I'm Drake Toll on the Locked On Big 12 right here, where you come every day and make it your first listen every single day. This has been It Always Will Be. Come back tomorrow. We're going to talk even more on the transfer portal as well as expansion and NIL, how it affects this conference on Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.